your forecast first. Sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. The sun still here. We still got a lot of that heat around, too. Now, I mean, not as much as yesterday afternoon, but it is heating up quickly, and we are noticing the mugginess in the air for the region. So all of that's still going to be around for today. We had some rain across the northern part of the state. You can barely see in the last few frames of this graphic how there were rain showers that were approaching, and from the northern parts of Livingston, Ford, and Iroquois County, they just disappeared like that. Now the clouds, some of those might stick around for us farther to the north, and we'll get a few more clouds as we go later on into the afternoon too, but no rain really expected with any of them. Already back into the 80s in a lot of spots. 81 in Decatur, we're sitting at 81 in Bloomington, 82 in Lincoln, and if you're not in the 80s, well, you're pretty close to them. At 79 in Springfield, 78 in Danville, 77 in Watseka and Champaign currently. Temperature sitting at 79 degrees. So from here on into the afternoon, we'll keep those temperatures rising by about another maybe 10 to 12, maybe 13 degrees, and get those highs back up around the lower 90s. Good amount of sunshine still left and still yet to come on into your day for tomorrow, and it still looks like it's going to be a dry and, well, overall a humid one as we go on into your first half of the work week, but the second half of it is going to be bringing in some changes for us, and more rain, cooler temperatures. We'll let you know how much cooler we get and where some of that rain might be coming in from coming up later in the show. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
And thanks for joining us this morning. I'm McLeod Hageman.
And I'm Christy Batista. We have a lot for you in the next hour of the morning show, but first, let's take a look at your eye-opener.
One community is asking people to help curb the spread of gun violence. A closer look at the cause.
Plus, Christy Clinic will tell us how to keep our kids safe as schools are back in session.
And it's the part of the plane no one really wants to touch, the bathroom, how one Japanese airline may have a solution. Those stories and more right now.
You're watching your local news leader. This is The Morning Show on WCIA 3 News.
We have a follow-up news story this morning. The city of Champaign is asking the community for help to curb gun violence.
Officials say shootings have killed 2 people and hurt 8 others in the past 2 weeks. It's also resulted in property damage to homes and cars, along with an MTD bus. Officials say many of these shootings are targeting specific people and are a result of ongoing violence. They are now asking anyone with information to come forward and share what you know with police or someone else you trust.
Well, no one was hurt after a Champaign-Urbana MTD bus was hit by gunfire. That happened at East Columbia Avenue and North 5th Streets in Champaign. Police say the bus was stopping to pick up a passenger when people in 2 cars in that area started shooting at each other. 6 people, including the driver, were on the bus. MTD officials say this is the first time one of their buses has actually been hit by bullets.
A family in Central Illinois will hold a funeral service for a loved one today. They are currently mourning the loss of 2 family members who died just days apart. Now their neighbors are helping the family move forward. WCIA 3's Gabrielle Cook explains.
The fire that took the life of Elena Jarnigan happened on Friday afternoon in Bethany. Jarnigan was in the preschool program at Okaw Valley Elementary School. At the time of her death, her family was already grieving the loss of another family member. Jarnigan's great-uncle, Mike Castelli, died in a crash in Moultrie County on Wednesday. Pastor Rob Roy of First United Methodist Church says in times like these, the community comes together.
It's a very family-oriented community. We are very shocked by this, and we are praying for this family, and we're just want to let them know that they're loved.
People are donating clothes and money to the family, but Roy says this type of heartache also requires more than that. People need to lean on each other.
I'd say you're not alone, and that you know, there are people here who are willing to help and want to help. We just need to know how we can best help you.
He also wants the family to know that there is hope after a tragedy.
Our faith gives us hope, and the church is not the building. The church is the people in which we gather together.
Mike Castelli's funeral will be in Lovington today at McMillian and Young. The visitation will be from 5 until 7. Jarnigan's funeral is still being planned. Well, thousands of U of I students have returned to Champaign-Urbana. Mayor Diane Marlin says she's trying to prevent a spike in COVID-19 cases.
But she needs city council support to keep that ordinance in place. The council voted 6-1 to pass the emergency order regulating bars and restaurants. The new orders require people to remain seated at bars and restaurants, wear face coverings when not eating or drinking, and to maintain social distancing. It also orders bars to ban people younger than 21 after 9 o'clock every night. Some people spoke out during the meeting against limiting how many guests could attend those gatherings, while others argued for even stricter regulations. Mayor Marlin defended her order.
We tried to draw a line, we're kind of drawing a line between individual rights, between freedoms and flexibility, but also protecting the safety of the public.
And some council members asked about how the city plans to enforce rules on private property versus public property, and asked if it's up to the government to let communities decide how to behave in their own homes. The city's legal team says a lot of those decisions came down to what public health and university officials felt would help the most for those cities.
Taking a look at the latest coronavirus numbers now, Champaign County set a new high for cases. There were 68 new ones as students returned to classes at the U of I. The county's 7-day positivity rate has stayed at 0.3% for the 5th straight day. There are 1,600 new cases statewide, though. That brings the total now to nearly 222,000. 8 more people have died. Illinois has seen more than 7,800 COVID-19 related deaths.
A Millikan student is in isolation after testing positive for COVID-19. Officials with the university say they found out about the positive test over the weekend. They say the case is because of an off-campus work-related exposure. The student is isolating away from campus. Well, a big part of the U of I's reopening plan involves saliva testing.
We've told you about it on the morning show, how students and staff have to have negative tests just to get into campus buildings. Testing is such an essential part of the college experience now that students just say it's now just another task on their to-do list.
It's every 4 days, so twice a week. They're having us get the test and then show our phone to get into the buildings, and we have to have the building approved status.
The U of I is using a hybrid model for classes this semester. Food insecurity affects thousands of families here in central Illinois.
And that's why the Eastern Illinois Food Bank will be leaving the warehouse and hitting the road to reach even more people. WCIA3's Karina Rubio joins us live in Champaign this morning with more. Karina.
Hey, Matt, Christy, good morning. The Eastern Illinois Food Bank says that the demand has definitely gone up during the pandemic, and they just got a $417,000 grant from Feeding America's COVID-19 Relief Fund to help even more people. They're going to use that money to buy a refrigerated beverage truck to add 50 mobile food distribution sites in rural communities. The truck will travel to those underserved areas with the food distributed directly from it. That means little to no cleanup time. The grant will also be used to expand the food bank's inventory to include more culturally diverse choices. Food Bank President and CEO Jim Heyer says, quote, "Hunger affects people from all walks of life. We will be able to better serve children, families, and seniors with nutritious, culturally appropriate food." And I just spoke with the vice president of EIF here, and she says that some of the areas they have planned so far to reach with this new truck are in Danville, McLean, and Coles County. Stay with us later in our evening newscast and online for the full story. Reporting live in Champaign, Karina Rubio, WCIA3, your local news leader.
A police officer is hanging up his badge, and he did one final good deed over the weekend. It ended up being a chain reaction that got a stranded family home safe. WCIA3's Jennifer Jensen has more.
Arcola police officer Chandler Jakes pulled up to a gas station to fill up his squad car when something caught his attention.
I saw this guy and his 2 kids were at the gas station.
The family was stuck there because their car broke down on Route 45 just outside of town. Jakes figured something might be wrong, so he stopped what he was doing to check on them.
I came around and said, "Is there anything I can do for you guys?" I said, "Need any help with anything?"
They needed a way to get home to Dietrich.
The distance from Arcola to Dietrich is about 46 miles, roughly a 50-minute drive. It would have cost the family $250 to take a taxi there.
Jakes didn't want to leave the father and his 2 young children stranded or strapped with the $250 bill, so he offered to give them a ride when his shift was over. He went back to their vehicle to get their belongings and the car seat. When Officer Jakes came back to pick up the family, another person had offered to give the family a ride. So he helped to load up the Good Samaritan's car, and the family got on the road home.
If there's an opportunity for me to be compassionate to somebody, I don't really think anything of it. I don't think I did anything special by offering these people a ride. I just wanted to help somebody out.
His humility was recognized by the chief of police when the station got a call thanking Officer Jakes for the kindness he showed that day. Reporting, I'm Jennifer Jensen, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
Officer Jakes has been with Arcola Police for about 4 years now. He is moving on with his career, and his last day on the job will be tomorrow. Well, now that you're up to speed on the news, which way am I going here?
Hey.
Hey-o.
How's the weather looking outside, Adam?
Hey there. So warm and humid for the time being. It's going to become hot and humid by the time we head into the afternoon. And the sun's still going to be out there, but of course more of a hazy look to the sky is going to be coming along with it. And we're noticing a lot more of that currently in Champaign. Gibson City, maybe a little haze. Mattoon and Charleston right now, things looking fairly clear, but the heat, it is building quickly, and we're already back into the 80s in a lot of spots. Some locations are going to get back around the mid-90s by the time we head into the afternoon, while many of us will probably just top off more around those lower 90s. As far as Storm Tracker Doppler, any rain chance at all? It got close. It was just off to the north and now heading more over into Lake Michigan and then on into extreme southwestern parts of Michigan, and even noticing some stronger to severe storms back across Wisconsin right now, getting pretty close to Madison, Wisconsin. Down this way, though, all of that moisture, as it continues to head its way closer to us, the few very light showers that you see across northern Illinois, those died off. And then, of course, the more of the track that you're seeing and the progression and the direction you're seeing this move on into is going to be more into northeastern Indiana and continue to push on into Ohio. Going to take a little while before we get some rain chances in here. We're going to have to wait until some of the tropical moisture from the south, which is not really associated with this right here. This is what's left of Marco right now. That's still spinning, even though you can't really notice it much right now across the southern coast of Louisiana. You got to go farther south and west of there, or south and east of there, just beginning to head into the Gulf of Mexico. Tropical Storm Laura, which is now Hurricane Laura, which is going to be heading its way north into parts of the U.S. and then eventually starting to head in our direction, but may not be quite overhead for us to provide a lot of rain. As far as what we're noticing with temperatures, 79 in Champaign, 78 in Effingham. We got some lower 80s in Indianapolis, 80 in Peru, 79 in Springfield, and right now sitting at 78 in Columbia, with Quincy's temperature right now sitting at 79 degrees. So yeah, very warm and humid, and just like yesterday, still going to be dry. Still expecting it to be hot and humid with those late week rain chances on the way. And some of the moisture, yeah, could involve what we see with what's left of now Hurricane Laura. But there's also going to be some moisture associated with the front that's going to be pushing through, and that will help to not only, of course, bring the rainfall, but eventually once it moves on by, we're going to get a cool down on into the weekend and for a lot of next work week. We'll let you know more about that coming up later in the show. Christy?
Thanks, Adam. It's time for trending now. Once again, I was like, which camera I'm looking at? All right. Let's go. What's first? Model Christy Teigen is buying school supplies for dozens of teachers. The pregnant mother of 2 tweeted some photos of her at-home school setup. She asked teachers to respond with their Amazon wish lists. Teigen later gave an update saying she had cleared 50 lists. She says she plans to help more teachers this week with a focus on special needs and struggling districts.
Very cool right there. I don't know about you guys, but I always kind of liked and looked forward to back to school shopping, and I kind of miss it.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
I was thinking, I wonder if like the sale of backpacks has gone down since so many people are
staying home.
I mean, working from home, schooling from home.
You think a lot of cities and just regions still have their sales tax holidays during some of the year? I know, I mean, of course, money is a little more hard to come by, so you probably want those taxes in here. But no, that's what I enjoyed about going back to school shopping. tax-free holiday.
There you go.
All right, so the Los Angeles Lakers may not be playing in Los Angeles right now, but anyone who has been to a Lakers game in Los Angeles has probably driven down Figueroa Street. That's about to change. The nearly 3-mile-long portion of the road's name will change to Kobe Bryant Boulevard. That includes the stretch that flanks Lakers home court at Staples Center. Bryant played for the Lakers for his entire 20-year career. He died in a helicopter crash back in January.
And yesterday was the day in honor of him.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant Day. And it
Kobe
was
Bryant Day.
the day before that was his birthday.
Got it.
So yeah, because of his two numbers, 8 and 24, that's why the city decided to have Kobe Bryant Day on yesterday instead of, I guess, his birthday.
Pretty cool tribute.
Yeah. I have to check it out at some point. Well, it's the part of the plane that no one really wants to touch, and that is the bathroom. But a Japanese airline may have a hands-free solution to that. All Up in Airways, ANA, is testing a door that can open with an elbow or even your forearm. Simply press the flat handles, and the door opens inward. Inside, a similar locking mechanism means the entire experience is hands-free and hygienic. The prototype was created by a Japanese company called Jamco and is so far the only place that it's available is at one of their lounges in Tokyo. But if it's popular and easy enough to use, it could become a bit more widespread. Cool idea.
This is similar to there are certain public restrooms that you go in where they have the foot pedal on the bottom.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've seen that before.
So.
Pretty neat. Now, I will admit, I have been one of those people who have tried to use my forearms to open up a doorknob. Yeah. It's not that easy. Obviously, you would know, but it can work, but I'm sure this is going to come in a lot more of handy and going to be a lot more efficient.
Absolutely.
Just as long as you don't have a cup of coffee in your hand as you're trying to do that, because then you spill it. Of course, that's my immediate thought.
That'll happen. Well, still to come on the morning show, how to keep your kids safe during in-person classes.
It's a tough question that Dr. from Christie Clinic will discuss next in Morning Rounds.